So welcome back to my channel. On this particular video, I'm going to take you through assignment 015 on C, that is a file input output. So before we dive into the actual assignment, ensure that you go through the reading material, that is the file and descriptors, the C programming in Linux tutorial 024, that is on open, read, write functions. Then by the end of these notes, you should be able now to explain without unhelp the meaning of open, the close, read, write, the P print F. Okay, now let's start with the quiz. The quiz are quite simple. For number 0, we have what is the correct combination of flag? That is the mount write only. Create it with the doesn't exist and append. And the correct answer is supposed to be 0, write only. WR stands for the write only. Then we have the create, and lastly the append. Question 1, what is the UNSTD symbolic constant for the standard error? And the answer is, the keyword there is standard error, STD. So we have STD-ERR, which stands for standard error file number. Question 2, what is the UNSTAND symbolic constant for the standard input? So the keyword there is the last word, that is the standard input, and that is a STDIN, standard input file number. This is the correct answer. Then number 3 is open a function or a system call. You're supposed to select all the valid answers. And number 1, it's a function. Number 1, open is a function. Number 2, it's a symbolic call. And number 3, it's a function provided by the kernel. So it's a function, it's a system call, and it's a function provided by the kernel. Number 4, without the context on Ubuntu, you are supposed write is an executable and also a system call. So the answer is this one, and these are the one, system call. Then number 5, what is the return value of the system call open if it fails? And the answer is supposed to be -1. If it fails, it will give the value -1. Then the other part we have, when I'm using write only, create and append, the slash are the bitwise operator, and the answer is true. So this one is it's a bitwise operator. Then the next part, which of the following answers is equivalent to read and write? Read, write, and the answer is 232 3/2. Sorry, we have 32112, write only 1. Those are the correct answer for that number. Then number 8, what is the flag used to open a file with the mode read only? The keyword there is a mode read only, and the answer is this one, RD, which stands for read only. Then number 9, what happens if you try to write best to the standard input on Ubuntu 14.04 LTS? And the answer is, if you try to write the best, the text will be printed on the terminal on standard output. So remember, whenever you write something, it will always appear on this part. Number 10, what is the flag used to open a file in the read? The keyword there is read write. So you take the first letter, last letter, then we have write. So we have read write, which is now the RDWR. What is the unstart symbolic constants of the standard output? And the standard output, the keyword, and we have standard output file So the answer is this one. And lastly, why? And the answer is because most of the time I will already have standard in value 0, standard out value 1, standard error value 2 open when my program starts executing. So you need to understand the meaning of this one. So we have the standard input, standard output, and standard error. For the standard in, the value is supposed to be 0. Standard out, the value is output is supposed to be 1. Standard error is supposed to be 2. If you can still remember the other case that we had already looked at. Then the next number, most of the time on classic modern Linux system, what will be the value of the first file descriptors you will get after opening a new file with open, if open succeed, of course. There's supposed to be 3. And lastly, what system call will you use to write a file descriptor? And select all, and that's supposed to be 1. So those are the answers for the quizzes. Now let's now move on to the next part, that is on the quiz. I will hide these on. Now for the quiz, go down to the instruction, and the repo is supposed to be ELX, the low level programming. We have file, the name of the directory, and we have the read text and etc. So step number 1 is to number 1, before you create the directory, is to open your GitHub repository and you open this one, your repo, this one. Then you create the first file, of which now I'm going to use my sandbox to open my terminal. So you go to your terminal and open your repo, see what you have. So you use the command ls, which stands for the listing. So remember, the question is, we are supposed to create a directory that is 015 file IO input output. Okay, so I will use the command cd elx low, then use the tab button to complete the statement. Okay, next step, I will use the command mkdir to create my directory, which is a 015 file IO. Okay, let me see whether I've successfully created the directory. So as you can see, this is the directory that I've created. According to the instruction, you are supposed to create a directory by the name of Bison. Okay, having done that, the next step is to use the command cd to open your directory. So you can, number 1, maybe you can try to check whether there is anything inside your directory, and as you can see, it's an empty one. Now, according to the instruction, we are supposed to create a readme file. As you can see, this condition, we are supposed to create a readme file at the root of our directory. So I will copy that one, then use the command vi, then the readme, then you press I to insert. Most of the time I prefer to have this one inside our readme. So copy, use the command escape :q. Okay, let me see whether I've done that successfully. So as you can see, I've been able now to create a readme file inside my directory. Okay, having done that, the next step is to create the first file, and the file is this one. So copy the file that you have to create. So you use the command vi, and then insert. Now the question is, we are supposed to write a function that reads a text file and print it to the POSIX standard output. So I've already prepared. Okay, before we go to that point, we are supposed to create. We are supposed, number one, to create the main H, and we are supposed to create the main H. So we create the main H before we do that. The main H. So you paste, insert, and already prepared all the command that you need to successfully do this particular assignment. So this is my main H. So copy, then you paste, escape, WQ. Okay, having done that, now we can create our first file. That is this one. Insert. So come here and you copy the command that I've already prepared. I will share this one at the bottom of my video description, so you don't have to worry on how to go about the whole thing. Okay, so paste, escape, WQ. Next step is to go to number 1, that is that you are supposed to create a function that creates a file. Then the name of the file is one create file C. So copy, so press the insert button, then go to assignment, copy the code, copy, then you paste, escape, on WQ. Then we move to the next part, number 2. For number 2, you are supposed to write a function that appends a text at the end of a file. So if you look at this one, we were supposed to create a file. Then for number 0, we are supposed to read. Okay, let me go. So create number 2. So copy the name of the file. Copy. Then move to the next number, number 3. Number 3, you are supposed to write a program that copies the content of a file to another file. So copy this one, copy the name of the file, paste, enter, insert, then go to the code, copy this code up to the last part, up to the curly brackets. We have copy, then you paste, escape, colon, WQ, enter button. Then you move to the next part. For next part is the advanced part, and you're supposed to write a program that displays the information in the ELF reader at the start of the ELF file. So the name of the file that we have the 100 ELF reader, copy, then paste, enter. Then you write down the code. Copy, escape, colon, WQ. Okay, having done that, the next step is to go back to your assignment 0. Then copy this one. You copy the cut. Now you need to be a little bit careful on this one. Copy, then copy, on this one. Remember, you're supposed to, there's a correction that you're supposed to make on this one. I have copied everything. You're supposed to copy from this part. You're not supposed to copy this section and this other section, because you would have copied two documents at the same time, or rather two files at the same. So enter. Then on this part is where you now need to insert your content. So copy, okay. Next part okay, let me see, there's a problem here. We need now to open and see what we have. So we have the ls and see. So let me see what I have. So okay, nice. Okay, now let's move to the next part. So we have the vi, then copy this section from card 0. Insert. So I move to the next number, number 1. So copy this, copy, copy, paste, escape, WQ. Okay, let's move to the next number, that is number 2. So copy, insert, then copy this one to the curly brackets, copy this one, then move to the next number. For the last number, we need now to copy the GTC. So copy this one, copy this, then go to the other number, then this one, and lastly, for the advanced, copy the GCC. So having done that, the next step is to git add, then git commit, and we can use a file input output. And lastly, the git push. So what we have done, git add, git commit, and lastly the git push. So having done that, the next step is to check whether we have done our. So let's start with our assignment 0 and check whether our code is correct. Let me see. So as you can see, all the checkers are green, meaning that our codes are correct. Good. Let's move to number 1. Also, number 1 is correct. Number 2. Number 2, as you can see, all the checkers are green. Number 3. Number 3, they seem there's a problem. I'll check this on later. And lastly, we have, let me see. Let me try to check again and see where the problem is. But the most important part is that those are the procedures that we are expected to follow in order to do this assignment correctly. As also you can see that all the checkers are correct. So I'll go back to my sandbox, or rather the terminal, to see where the problem could be. But for the meanwhile, just follow the instruction they have highlighted them, and you'll find that all your checkers will be green. So as I try to do my rechecking, you can use the code the way it is. It must made maybe I made some mistake when maybe the spacing and what have you, but the codes I'm 100% sure that they are correct. So thank you for taking time to watch the video. In case you have any question, or rather you need a clarification, just write it down on the comment section and I will get back to you. Lastly, don't forget to subscribe. Let's continue supporting the channel so that you can learn this coding together. Coding for life. Bye bye.